Notice anything different? Of course you do. I finally got a camera after months of saying I was going to get one. And I hope you guys enjoy the improvement in video quality as much as I do. Now on to today's video topic, because that's why you guys are here, obviously. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Amanda, aka Fit Food AE. Today we're going to be making 4 bowl recipes with around 400 calories, and each of them have 30 to 40 grams of protein. These are perfect for people eating in a calorie deficit and can easily be customized if you need more calories. So let's get started, shall we? Our first recipe is our cheesy pasta bowl. This has around 400 calories and 40 grams of protein. It's so good, so filling, high volume. You guys are gonna love it. So for the sauce, we're doing a classic 1% cottage cheese, nutritional yeast, and light marbled cheese with a bit of Fairlife skim milk just to make it more viscous, as well as my spices, paprika, garlic powder, and salt. Now I use my Zwilling blender to blend that all up. It might be a bit finicky at first. If you need to, you can add a bit more milk or water, but mine turned out just fine. You'll see here, this is the consistency we're going for. And now for our veggies. So I chose zucchini and cauliflower because those are very high volume veggies that are going to keep you full. But if you don't like these veggies, you can easily just choose something else. So I sprayed with a bit of cooking spray and added my spices of choice, which are salt, garlic powder, and paprika, of course. Did a few rounds of that until they were fully covered. You could use oil if you want to, but obviously I use the spray just to keep them lower in calories. So I decided to air fry them just to save space on the stove. You can honestly prepare them any way that you like, but I feel like air frying makes it taste really good. I used my dual basket air fryer and I just divided them into 2 baskets. Otherwise it would have been too crowded. I put them in for like just under 20 minutes. Honestly, depending on your air fryer, I'd recommend checking every 5 minutes and then just like shaking in between. For the pasta, I use chickpea pasta just to make it higher in protein. You could also use like other high protein pastas or just regular pasta because honestly the sauce in itself is really high in protein. But if you want to make it 40 grams, then be sure to use chickpea or another high protein pasta. So now we're going to add the veggies in, and then after adding the veggies and like mixing those in, then we're going to add the cheese sauce, which we blended up earlier before. By the way, you could just store it in the fridge as you're waiting. Ooh, I absolutely love the look of this when we mix it all together. It looks so thick, creamy, cheesy. I just absolutely love this cheese recipe. It's high in protein, tastes so good, and it's very versatile. So each of these recipes makes 4 servings. The reason I plated 2 servings and I'm going to put the other 2 servings in a Tupperware, as you'll see later, is because I made one for me and my boyfriend to eat, and then I put the other 2 servings in Tupperware for later. Look at how good it looks. Oh my god, so good, so cheesy. This little forkful, so delicious. We rushed to like scarf this down right before we went to a run club. That's why I was wearing the sweater and my boyfriend was just taking a clip right before we went. And then yeah, I put the rest in a Tupperware and we actually ate it right when we got back for dinner because we loved it so much. Next up, we've got burger bowls. So I've seen this recipe all over TikTok. I decided to make my own version. All these recipes are vegetarian, by the way. So we're gonna start off by making the Big Mac sauce, which is just like non-fat Greek yogurt, sugar-free ketchup, mustard, pickles. Dice them up as small as you can. And then we're gonna add the spices. So I added garlic powder, salt, and paprika. Those are my spices of choice. I've seen other people make Big Mac sauce with mayo. That's like the non-high protein version way of making it. I hate mayo. I think it's disgusting. So the Greek yogurt is just like a way better option. So store that in the fridge while we make the rest of the recipe. So now we're gonna dice up our potatoes. You can really do this any way that you want, but I like to dice them in the shapes that you're gonna see here. Decided to get Yukon Gold potatoes. These just taste the best and look the best in the bowl. You have just like baking potatoes though, that's totally fine. Also sweet potatoes could work as well. So yeah, this is kind of the way I dice them up. I just cut it in half and then cut it lengthwise and then widthwise or whatever. I don't even know what that means. Make sure to use a good knife as well. Also, by the way, I weighed out 400 grams of the diced potatoes. I didn't end up using all 2 of those potatoes, so I think you might just be good if you have like one big one. Now we're gonna dice up the pickles. I like to cut them nice and small. By the way, I only had gherkins. I know some people are gonna be like, those are not pickles, those are gherkins. Yes, that's all I had, and these will work just fine. So you're good to go there. I absolutely love pickles. And now the onions. So this is the way I dice up my onion. I kind of cut like lines into it as you're seeing there, and then I dice it up the other way, and then I just like kind of scrape off little dices of onion and try to dice them up as small as you can. There may be people in the comments that are like, that's not the way you dice an onion, but like, look at it, it works for me. For tomato, kind of the same thing. I kind of cut all my vegetables the same way. This recipe is great because you use so many veggies, so it's like so chock full of veggies, which I love, but also this recipe took the longest to film because it just had so many veggies to chop and it was a bit annoying. So lettuce, guys, none of the grocery stores near me sell shredded lettuce. So I just take this romaine lettuce and I cut it into these like tiny shreds myself. And it took forever. Honestly, it looks way better if you do that. If you can buy shredded lettuce, that would probably be way more efficient, but probably save money this way as well. Although vegetables are already really expensive in Vancouver. You'd also use iceberg lettuce if you want. Just look at all that goodness. Lettuce is so high volume and good to use in recipes. So now we're gonna air fry the potatoes. That's just like the best way to do it. Again, I spray it with cooking spray and then I add my spices of choice. So just like a medley of paprika, salt, and garlic powder. Maybe do a couple rounds of that. And then make sure to shake it more than halfway. Make sure to shake it like a few times as they're baking in the air fryer. So I usually put them in for like 15 minutes at 400 Fahrenheit and then go from there. You might want to check a couple times throughout to make sure it's not burning. So caramelizing the onions, you actually don't need any oil to caramelize onions, honestly. So you just put them on the pan. You're gonna do like low medium heat for a while and then just add a bit of water, like a couple tablespoons of water as you're going along. And then towards the end, put the heat up higher until they're nice and brown like this. So just cook them for longer than you normally would, then change the temperature at the end, and there you go, they're caramelized. So this is where we add a little Fit Food AE twist. I'm using Beyond Meat ground instead of regular ground beef, but obviously if you eat meat, just use regular ground beef. So yeah, this basically cooks the same way as ground beef. Probably takes less time, but I just season it with I feel like I sound like a broken record with those seasonings. But yeah, obviously salt, garlic powder, paprika. These are the seasonings I like to use and just kind of use it to your heart's content. Please don't track seasonings, guys. That's insane. So we're going to use, actually, like I know this is processed cheese, but trust me, guys, this is the best cheese to use for this recipe. We use 4 slices of that American processed cheese. And this is great because it actually allows you to portion and meal prep it very easily because we have those 4 portions there. So now we're going to assemble the bowl. We got lettuce, which is the best part, makes this very high volume. And we're going to add the Beyond with the American cheese. It's so good. Oh my God. I love the way this bowl's turning out. We got those nice and golden potatoes, the tomatoes nice and diced up, the pickles, yum. Now we're going to add the Big Mac sauce. So this was in the fridge earlier. My boyfriend actually hates this sauce because he hates mustard and ketchup and pickles. So when I made this, I actually had to give him one of the meal prep ones that didn't have the sauce on it. Thankfully I had that, otherwise he wouldn't have ate it. But yeah, like honestly, if you aren't a fan of Big Mac sauce, which I guess not everyone is, you can just make this without the sauce. You can add your own. I know it has a bit of a distinct taste, like if people don't like pickles or whatever, but I personally love it. Now we're gonna add the caramelized onions on top. So good. This is like one of my favorite parts. And guys, one thing I forgot to add is sesame seeds, so feel free to add those if you want. So good. This turned out amazingly. And also my camera, crushing the quality. Wow, it looks so good, especially in light like this. I'm so happy I got the camera, guys. Comment below if you see a big difference in the quality of the content. I read somewhere that like 40% of people are watching YouTube on their TVs now. And I was like, my content's just not going to cut it for that because the quality is not good enough where people are going to watch on their TV if I'm filming it on my iPhone 13 Pro. So hope you guys like the new quality as much as I do. And yeah, I put the other 2 portions in the Tupperware and I didn't put the Big Mac sauce on it because you probably just want to add that in later. And then yeah, I got these cute little Tupperware, new from HomeSense. They're so cute. Saving that for later. Absolutely love this recipe. Our third recipe are taco bowls. So we're gonna need more lettuce for this recipe. So if you want to save your arms from being tired, feel free to buy pre-shredded lettuce. But if you don't have any available around any grocery stores, feel free to just chop it up thinly like I'm doing here. So now our lettuce is all chopped up. My favorite part is like the crunchy lettuce, to be honest. So we're gonna take that sweet potato and we're gonna chop it up into chunks. I don't like to chop it up too thinly. Like, I kind of like the bigger chunks of sweet potato. I feel like it would be a bit easier to cut if you soften it up in the microwave first, but I didn't do that. And I might not be chopping this up in the most efficient way, but whatever, it works for me. You can also use regular potato in this recipe. I just wanted to change it up since I used regular potato in the burger bowl recipe. So I was like, you know what? Why not do sweet potato? Throw it in the air fryer. Same thing here, like 15 minutes. Cooking spray, salt, garlic powder, paprika for the sweet potato. And then just do like a couple rounds of that. You could also do oil if you don't care as much about macros, but I obviously use the cooking spray. Whenever you're cooking anything in the air fryer, especially vegetables, make sure to check it halfway through and shake it just to make sure everything's even. So now we're gonna make high protein, quote unquote, sour cream. So we're going to blend together 1% cottage cheese and non-fat Greek yogurt. Trust me guys, it tastes really, really good, especially mixed into the taco bowl. So this is to use instead of sour cream, which obviously higher in calories, lower in protein. So now we're gonna make the taco bowl meat. We're obviously using Beyond Meat ground, but you could use regular ground beef if you want. This is so expensive to buy at the grocery store, but I absolutely love it. Beyond Meat, sponsor me. So we're gonna add taco seasoning, which I just bought from the grocery store. It's the Old El Paso brand, but if you don't have that, just mix together the spices that I mentioned a million times in the video. That will work just fine, but I wanted to change it up for this recipe. So yeah, you're gonna cook it until it's like almost browned, and then you're gonna add the black beans in, mix it all together like that. And then once the ground is pretty much done, like it's pretty much brown, we're gonna add in the Laughing Cow cheese wedges. So we're gonna add 4 in. This is to make it creamier. I absolutely love the texture it adds to this recipe. So when you mix it in, by the way, it's a little bit tough to mix in. You just kind of have to like fold it in a million times. And then the ground is gonna be lighter in color, which is totally normal, but yeah, it's gonna be nice and creamy, which is so delicious. You can totally omit this step if you don't have any Laughing Cow, but doesn't add a lot of calories and adds protein. So yeah, we're gonna assemble the bowls. I love these cute bowls that I got from HomeSense. Add the lettuce, the sweet potato, the ground with the Laughing Cow and the black beans. Then we're gonna add our shredded cheese. So I use like light marble cheese. You could warm this up and put it on top of the ground, but I just like to make it more like authentic taco bowl. Then you're gonna add your pico de gallo. Guys, I was lazy and bought it from the grocery store. Then we're adding our high protein sour cream dupe. I added a lot in there just because I wanted to up protein, but you can kind of add it to your heart's content. And then once you mix it in, it's not gonna be as concentrated like that. So next we're gonna add a few tortilla chips. So depending on like if you don't care as much about the macros, you can use more tortilla chips and kind of use those as a vessel to like bring the taco bowl to your mouth. Basically the idea is you could either eat it with a fork and mix it around, or you can use tortilla chips, or you can use kind of half and half. Of course, if you want to use more tortilla chips, you can kind of like use less of the other ingredients if you want to keep it around 400 calories, but it's still very, very low in calories even if you use more tortilla chips. But look at this, so good. I absolutely love how the protein sour cream blends into everything. I also debated adding guac into this recipe, but so that I don't like guac, I do. But obviously I wanted to keep it high protein, lower calorie, and guac is like, doesn't really contribute to the protein factor. So kind of a give and take here, you know? Here's me with the bowl, a little bit messy. I think I like crushed some of the tortilla chips as I was doing that shot. Obviously wanted to get that perfect mouthful with everything in it. So good. This makes for a perfect lunch. If you want to make this higher calorie, you can put it on a bed of rice instead of lettuce, or like a mix of rice and lettuce. And this meal preps very, very well. I just didn't add the sour cream in there. You can add it in later on. You can put it in like a little separate container if you want. So lastly, we're going to be making sushi bowls. Of course, that Fit Food AE twist, we're making sushi bowls with tofu instead of fish, but you can totally do whatever you want. These have just over 400 calories and 40 grams of protein. So perfect for your calorie deficit. I use extra firm tofu. That's essential. That's a must. And the way that I press and drain it is just with like paper towel. You can use something fancy, but honestly, there's just no need to do that. So this is the way that I chop my tofu. I just do it lengthwise first with like a nice, good sharp knife, and then I turn around and cut it widthwise, or I guess I did the complete opposite there, but you know what I mean. And then once you chop that kind of line, then you use that to chop it into chunks. And that's how I do it. I know that some poke bowl places use tofu that's like a bit softer. Maybe the idea is that it mimics fish or something like that, but I just prefer extra firm tofu. So now they're all chopped into these cubes, and we're gonna add the soy sauce, which is an absolute must, essential. Then just use your hands, kind of make sure everything is mixed up. Just make sure they're all kind of like light brown in color there. You can also add a bit more like additional seasoning on the tofu, but I think the soy sauce is kind of enough. So once you set that aside, we're gonna use the cucumber, and we're not gonna use the entire thing. We're just gonna kind of dice it like this and then cut it into little triangles. This is just to add texture to the bowl. If you don't like cucumber, feel free to leave it out, but I think it's like a nice fresh veggie, and this bowl is full of veggies. So of course we're gonna air fry the tofu. You can put it in the oven if you don't have an air fryer and you're a loser, but anyway, I air fry it at 400 Fahrenheit for about 15 minutes or so. Be sure to shake it halfway through. So next for the sauce, we're actually going to do the same thing as a taco bowl. We're going to blend the 1% cottage cheese and the non-fat Greek yogurt. But instead of like a sour cream kind of substitute situation, we're actually going to put this sauce into a piping bag and use it as sauce to kind of like put all around the bowl. Again, it is technically the same sauce as taco bowl, but it tastes so good in this recipe. It's kind of a substitute for mayo because, again, I just really don't like mayo, and it's obviously not good for you. Edamame, guys, I just make this in the microwave because I just had so many things going on with like the stove and the air fryer. So I put it covered in the microwave with a bit of water, and I put it in for about like 5 or 6 minutes. By the way, if you don't like edamame as much, you don't have to use all of that. I just wanted this bowl to be high in protein as possible, and I love edamame. So cauliflower rice is the base of the bowl, and I know one of my TikToks, I was like a hater to cauliflower rice, being like, oh, that's one of the foods I used to eat when I like wasn't in a good place with dieting. But I got a lot of comments of people telling me like, oh, prepare it like this, and it's really, really good, trust me. So I use some of those tips, like adding soy sauce, adding spices, like cooking it for longer, adding the right toppings and all that. And cauliflower rice is actually really, really good, especially if you're in a deficit. Like, it's just so high volume. And guys, I love rice, don't get me wrong, and I mostly eat rice, but cauliflower rice, again, it's really, really good if you need a lower calorie, high volume option, and if you season it right, it's great. And this may look like I overcrowded the pan, but it ended up being fine. I just ended up having to cook it for quite a bit longer than the package said. The package said like 5 minutes. I ended up cooking it for like 10. So you'll know it's done once you try a bit, and it's like soft and tender, obviously not like chewy. So make sure to mix it around to combine the soy sauce and all the spices, so all the cauliflower rice is kind of like tanned in color like this. And then we're gonna assemble the bowls. I use those same kind of bowls I bought from HomeSense. I bought 4 of them. So you're gonna add the cauliflower rice first, of course. And then we're gonna add the tofu. Look at how nice and brown and crispy it looks. Absolutely delicious. Then we're gonna add the edamame. There's a lot of edamame in this bowl. Seaweed salad. I am the biggest fan of seaweed salad. I'm obsessed. I'm so obsessed with it. Although it sometimes gets stuck in my teeth, which I hate. Then we're gonna add a little cucumber and a bit of ginger, pickled ginger. You can't find this at a grocery store, no problem at all. It just adds a bit of flavor. And then see how I use the piping bag to like pour this sauce kind of all over the bowl as if it's spicy mayo or whatever, which again, way healthier choice and adds so much protein. And I added a little bit of sesame seeds on top just for texture and for the bowl to look cute, but obviously it's optional. Delicious. Look at all those colors. Oh my God. This turned out so amazingly. I was in shock at how beautiful this looked. It literally looked like I am a sushi chef and I prepared this in my sushi kitchen. Wow. Comment below, tell me if you use chopsticks or a fork. I personally love using chopsticks. We had this pair that I stole from a Thai restaurant, but yeah, this was so good. I definitely had seaweed salad stuck in my teeth after this, but it was so, so worth it. Using chopsticks, I find, also helps you eat more slowly, which is great. So then here I put the other 2 portions in Tupperware. I added the sauce to it because, like, honestly, I kind of like eating these poke bowls cold or like room temperature. If you're the type of person that wants to warm it up, then maybe don't add the seaweed salad and don't add the sauce, and then just add that in after when you want to enjoy. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this first video filmed with my new camera. Look out for new, amazing, great quality content to come. If you enjoyed this video, then I'm sure you're looking for more lunch recipes, so I'll link a video here that you should watch next. And please be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and share it with your friends, as it really helps the channel, and I post new videos every week. And with that, I will see you guys next time. Bye!